Fatality. Fatality.
Welcome, everybody. We are here to go over a few things. My name is Patrick, and with me always is Mike the Big D Kelly. And we're going to be discussing Song of Ice and Fire's 1.5 update, which most of you have probably already been playing for at least a week now, if not more, depending on when this video gets uploaded. But you guys have had a chance to play the game with the new changes. We'll just be going over them and discussing some of the stuff. So let's go ahead and get right into that. Mike will be taking over, and here we go. Mike, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, so the first change.
First change is the change to the panic. That's actually probably the biggest change of this update. I guess you can call it that, even though a lot of people refer to it as 2.0.
Yeah.
Affectionately, I guess. The big thing for it is that you still take your morale check as normal with any modifiers, whether positive or negative. But now you no longer lose a wound or lose a model, depending on what you refer to it as, for each point you fail by. Now, when you roll your 2d6 to take your morale check, you will roll a d3 as well. If you pass the panic check, same thing as before, nothing changes. If you fail, however, you take the d3 that you rolled and add 1. Then you lose that many wounds worth of models. Basically, you would lose between 2 to 4 models, or wounds if you're playing cavalry. That's may not seem like that big of a change, but for a lot of armies, it's huge.
It saves a lot of armies.
Yeah, it definitely saves free folk.
Free folk, Lannister supremacy no longer, or Lannister shenanigans really doesn't matter anymore.
I think they took the biggest hit from that. Whether that's good or bad for the game,
the faction
is still up to be seen.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of free folk, never mind. Sorry,
no.
Forgetting the order.
It's all right. All right. So our next change.
Our next change is going to be the activation phase, I guess. Same. For the most part, it stayed the same. The one thing that they changed, or clarified, I should say, is that NCUs can pass now.
They can forego an action.
Yeah, they can forego an action and just choose not to activate. I can really only think of one way that would be beneficial to you, and that's if you're playing against free folk. But yeah, that's really it. So yeah, that's...
there wasn't much there.
Yeah, a lot of these changes aren't really that big, basically.
Yeah.
This change, sorry, my brains, I'm tired a little bit. This change is really just a clarification of you can't cancel the maximum range of a unit's attack. It's more of a reminder, or they finally put it in the rulebook, I should say, that even though it's part of an ability, if you cancel a unit's ability, you can't cancel its maximum range. That's basically it.
Okay.
Moving on. This is another big change to the game, because there's a lot of things that cancel a unit's ability before that did not ever interact with the attachments. Now, whenever you cancel a unit's abilities, you cancel any attachments abilities that are attached to that unit. An important note is that things like vows or influences from NCUs are not canceled. Anything outside of that unit, basically.
Yeah.
So if you play a card that gives a unit sundering, you will not cancel their sundering, even though the unit gains that ability, as long as that ability is gained from outside of the unit. May not seem like much, but it's definitely big. There are a lot of cards out there, or abilities, that turn off units.
Especially now with the new Nutri-Heal box, too.
Yeah. Walder Frey has gotten pretty good. No,
Yeah.
I won't even lie about that. But, yeah, moving on. This is they clarified a lot of things in this rulebook in 1.5. However, one thing they did change for charging is that you no longer get as close as you can and then your opponent moves to meet you. Now in 1.5, if you charge, you must be able to fit, basically, at 50 or 100%.
Or anything within that.
Yeah, anything within 50 to 100%. So as long as you can fit 50%, you're fine. You can get as close to 100% as you want. Another change is actually the way they changed, I guess, you engage multiple units now. When I first read that rule, I didn't think it was that big of a change until I played, or I should say, I watched my first game of 1.5. An important thing that it says is that if you are touching somebody after you align however you wish, if you are touching a unit, they will, in essence, snap to you or realign to you to where they are at 50%. The reason that I didn't think it would be a big thing was I just thought, okay, it's the same as it was before. They're just clarifying it. And then I saw a game where a unit charged another unit on the flank, slid to 50% as the game says you must, and he was touching one of the dogs. I can't remember which one, but the dog snapped even though he was 50%, or even though he was sideways. So it forced two units to be side to side, yet still engaged, which was a weird thing. Don't know if I like it, but it is what it is. That's really all that they changed for there. So moving on there. This is once again just another clarification. They made it to where you can't reroll a reroll. And they also changed timing for Surge Forth. Surge Forth used to be just, part of destroying a unit in melee. Which it still is. It's still part of destroying a unit in melee. But now it happens after everything else. Regardless of what it is. If you attack somebody and they die, it's the very last thing that triggers. Even off of I killed somebody cards. Or I destroyed units cards. Such as Overrun. So yeah. Basically you will do your free maneuver and pivot for everyone else after all other performed an attack or destroyed or whatever happens. Yeah, effects happen. Next is triggers. They just clarified some things here. Basically, they just said the text of the card for the purposes of the trigger is irrelevant as long as the trigger itself is met. I don't know why they pointed out in the rulebook that the words of the trigger don't matter, but they did. They felt the need to.
Infinite glory there.
Yeah. And then that's basically it. They clarified what the active player does everything they want to, and then the non-active player does all the things they want to in any given order that they desire. That's basically all they did here. Once again, they clarified rerolls and how they work. And here's where they put into an actual rule section the ability stacking and loss of abilities, which is the thing we talked about earlier. Which is where attachments abilities are canceled if you cancel the unit's abilities. So this is just another reminder. Moving on, we are now in the neutrals. This is probably the biggest change to the neutrals faction as far as a character you saw the most, and now you probably won't see that often. Lord Varys. So when he first came out, he was super good. He could be rerolled. I believe it was 1.3 they took that away. And then they decided that he's still too powerful. So in 1.5 they changed him. He is now 5 points. And they changed the way his ability works. Before it was when you when an enemy NCU would claim a zone, you could choose to use his ability. Now it's when they activate. So it's not that big of a change to me, but it is a change that hampers him. So you probably won't see him that much. I know a lot of the players that I've talked with about this have definitely said you won't be seeing Varys around that much. But we'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll have to wait till actual events happen.
Yeah, we'll have to wait till more tournaments. The next one is Roose Bolton. The only thing that really changed here is he went from 3 points to 2 points, which makes him far more viable. He is definitely good. I will put it like that. The fact that he's neutral helps for 2 points because, especially with the change to Panic,
Yeah.
you're definitely going to see a lot less guard captains, for example.
Yeah.
So you're more likely to get his Prey on Fear ability. And then panicking units now is really good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's really all they changed there. This is probably the neutral unit that you are going to definitely maybe see some more of. Is the House Bolton's Bastard Girls. They are still 7 points. They still stayed the same on everything. The only thing that they gained was their melee attack gained Vicious. Which fits the theme of, I guess, the faction of House Bolton, even though they're neutral.
Yeah.
I guess they're their own little sub-faction, but it definitely helps. It helps give them some more hitting power. Now, with the changes to Panic, whether or not Vicious is enough to make them viable as a unit is to be seen, because they still, are 7 points and still die to a stiff breeze.
Yeah.
6
plus morale. 6 plus defense.
Yeah. So whether or not, we'll see them around is, once again, as always, we'll have to see. But moving on is to the Flayed Men. These guys probably got the biggest change out of all the neutrals as far as changing the way you play them. So before they were 10 points, they are now 9 points. But for a 1 point cost and reduction, they lost a point of armor save. So they went to 3+ instead of 2+. They lost Spread Fear, which was when an enemy unit engaged with them failed a morale check, you could panic another enemy unit within long range. But in compensation, they gained Ferocious Assault, which is enemies successfully charged by this unit become panicked. That's important to note here, that makes them hit very hard, because they still have Vicious, they still have Critical Blow, they are still an all-around good unit, and at 9 points, I think you're definitely going to see a lot more of them. So yeah. Moving on there. We move to the Free Folk Tactics cards update. All they really did was clarify that Endless Horde, which allows them to bring a unit back, can now redeploy their character units. So the Bone Lord's Chosen can be brought back with Endless Horde. Another thing is that the Final Strike, which is one of Steer's, I think that's how you say his name, tactics cards, cannot cause more hits than wounds remaining in the unit. So if you have one model left, it can't cause more than one wound. Or more than one hit, I guess. So yeah, moving on there. We move to their card updates, which is really only one change. They didn't change anything about it. They changed the cost of Spearwives. Spearwives were 5 points. A lot of the Free Folk players I know don't think they were worth it, considering that for 1 less point you could bring Trappers.
Yeah.
And they weren't worth anything if they died, and they were just as survivable. So bringing them down to 4 points definitely makes them more viable as a choice. They still have to, fight with trappers for that slot, but they do give free folk something that they are lacking in, which is Sundering.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, they only get it on the charge, so whether or not that's good enough to make them playable is up there. The next thing is Night's Watch. They probably took the biggest hit as far as power level goes.
We did.
Their main unit was Sworn Brothers. They were 6 points. They are now 7 points, which may not seem like a lot, but when your main battle line unit, I guess is what you would call it, got changed that big, it definitely is a hit. Now, I guess as a way to make it up to those players, their full ranks, so when they have between 9 to 12 models, they now roll 8 dice instead of 7.
Yeah, we got one whole dice upgrade.
Yep. As you can tell, Patrick is not too happy about the changes to Sworn Brothers. And I guess a bigger change to the faction as a whole is Bowen Marsh. He was probably an auto-include for 3 points in every single Night's Watch list.
Yeah.
He was just so good. The big thing here is that he got changed to 4 points, which, as you know, a 4-point NCU is a lot. Yeah, that's really it there as far as the Night's Watch go. Next is the Lannisters. Sorry. Really, the only thing they changed there was that they clarified in the FAQ that multiple instances of cut them down, which is the Hound's 1.4 update ability.
Yeah.
They stack. So basically, if Lannister players take Ramsay and the Hound in the same army, and they somehow both get engaged with a single unit, and that unit fails a morale check, it will take 4 additional wounds.
Nice.
Yeah, no, that's going to be hard to pull off, but it's going to be huge when it happens.
If it does happen, that's potentially 8 wounds.
Yeah, up to 8 wounds from a failed morale check.
Yeah.
Which, on top of an attack, could just kill the unit. Delete a unit. But yeah, so there's that update. The next is their units. This is probably what the most Lannister players are excited about, because the Kingsguard got a change. Really, the only thing that they got changed was that they can now be healed, which I know a lot of Lannister players were asking for.
Yeah.
As well as their banners. They are still the same, all the same abilities, critical blow and sundering, and all their loveliness that those banners could be used. But now you can use the same ability more than once a game. So you can have 4 activations of wear horses or whatever you wish to do. Yeah. Now, whether these changes are enough to make up for the fact that you have to take Joffrey as your commander, I'm still on the fence about them. I haven't played them yet, so I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see.
We'll have to do a test with them.
Yeah, we'll probably do that on the stream at one point, actually. Probably
so, yeah.
Throw them
you guys
out on the
haven't
table.
liked us yet. We're on Twitch as well. Twisted Gaming TMG.
Yep.
.twitch TV. Go ahead and check us out there. We're on Facebook as well.
Yep. Twisted
Gaming
TMG.
If you guys haven't got the hit, we're everywhere.
Yep. An important note there is that we do play other things besides Song on there.
Yes. On the Twitch, we just yesterday we were playing other games. So we do play other games besides Song, but
yes.
Song is right now the big thing for us. So
yep,
we'll focus on that. So next
update is the Warrior Sons. They definitely got changed. I'll put it like that. Good or bad, they got changed. So I believe their attack dice went up. I don't know that off the top of my head, but I believe they just gained dice all over the place. Their armor save and their morale and their movement is all the same. Their main ability, Battle Prayer, though, got a huge update. So they're still the same. It's still, each time this unit passes a morale check, they gain a faith token. And it's still, expended as usual. So yes, they did gain a dice. Sorry. They gained a dice at full ranks and at 2 ranks.
Yeah, because they're at 6 now, right?
Yeah, they're 864 now. They were 754. But instead of being able to use a faith token to give themselves +1 to hit and sundering, they now give the defender panicked and vulnerable. Which, whether or not that makes up for lack of sundering, is to be seen. And important to note, also, is that their defensive ability for faith tokens changed. Where before it was just use a faith token for +1 to their armor save, it is now use a faith token to gain +1 to their armor save for each rank they are missing. So, that is them. That is all the changes for the Warrior Sons. Next is the Halberdiers. They probably took the biggest changes out of all the units. So they are still 4+ to hit, which I personally am sad about. I was wishing they had gotten 3+ to hit. But
why? All they have is sticks to defend themselves with. They can get hit.
Yeah, but they're highly trained sticks.
Not really. A bunch of villagers with pitchforks.
But their order stayed the same. They still have sundering. They're still 4+ armor save, 5 movement. They did gain a single dice at all ranks, actually, because they used to be 773.
Yeah, now they're 884.
And now they're 884. As well as they are braver than anyone else in the Lannister army. The Lannister army, as you know, probably are 7+ morale. They went to 6+. So there's that change, I guess.
Just a little more loyal.
Yeah, I guess you could call it.
They get paid
that,
a little bit better.
Yeah. Now moving on to the character changes. And there are quite a few of them. So the first up is Jaime Lannister, Kingslayer. He's getting another change. His counterattack is still there, his order. But now they took away, I cannot remember the name they gave to his other ability in 1.4. But whatever it was called, they changed it now. It's now called Kingslayer's Prowess. What it is when his unit activates, he can return one of Jaime Commander's tactics cards from his discard pile to his hand.
Yeah.
Which is definitely good.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely excited to see him on the field now.
Yeah, I played against him already.
Yes, you did.
With that whole dog situation.
Yep. That was fun, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Keeps bringing back the same card over and over again. Why not?
So good. Next up is the Champion of the Faith. He definitely got a change. So before, his ability was an order that said when the unit he's in passes a morale check, you may use his order and give all engaged enemy units vulnerable. Now, it is called Unwavering Conviction, and it is basically just when this unit activates ability, which states it may take a morale check. On a success, it may restore up to 2 wounds. Otherwise, it heals 1 wound. Or restores 1 wound.
Yeah.
Which is definitely very good.
Yeah.
You're definitely going to see a lot more Champions of the Faith
being played
in Lannister armies because they just heal. Period.
Yeah. They're healing now, which is scary.
Yeah, which is good. Next up is the Baratheon Banners. This I kind of touched on with the Kingsguard. So like I stated earlier, all of their abilities stay the same. Critical Blow and Sundering, gains Vicious, the defender becomes panicked, vulnerable and weakened, free maneuver or retreat. Now you can, once again, like I stated, use them more than once per game. So you can do whatever. Yeah, you can use them. They're still at activation. Use them, so you can't use all 4 in one go to go sprinting across the field and kill something or anything like that. But you can definitely get some good use out of it.
Yeah.
Next up is the Starks FAQ. Most of these are just clarifications of the fact that if characters are killed before their ability is triggered, then the trigger never happens, basically. So the important note is like Rickon Stark. He says when his unit is destroyed, he's worth 1 additional victory point. Yeah. But if you kill him somehow, whether it's through the new Neutral Heroes 2 Jaqen, the Kingsguard Jaime, or
whatever,
Egret, or whoever they come up with down the road, if you kill him before his unit's destroyed, you don't get his points. Yep. So don't go assassinate him, basically. And then they big change, actually, that I didn't know about, or think about, I should say, when they wrote it, was that they changed the way blocking hits in this game work now.
Yeah.
Now it's the owner of whoever's blocking the hits chooses what they block. And I believe they made that clarification, I guess you can call it that, because of all the things that say if you roll a 6, negate armor saves.
Yeah.
Precision. So they gave players a way to block those hits even without,
blocking.
Without
rolling.
Yeah. Because they don't get armor saves.
Yeah, rolling defense die.
Next up we have Stark Bowmen. They got some definite changes. So the first thing up is that they went from 4+ to hit to 3+ to hit. They are no longer 6/6/4 on dice. They are now 8/8/4. But as I guess to bring them down a little bit, they lost their foregoing shifting to gain +4 dice.
Yeah.
They still are long range. They still ignore intervening units in terrain. But now, if the defender that they shot at with their attack fails their panic check, they become weakened and cannot trigger their orders until the end of the round, which is huge.
Yeah.
Especially with the new Roderick Cassell, which we will go over in a bit.
Yeah.
Next up we have Great Axes. They definitely took a change. So they lost... I forget what they called it, but they lost their secondary attack, just as a whole. Their Executioner's Fury changed. So it's no longer 2+ to hit, it's now 3+ to hit. Instead of being 6/6/2, it is now 8/6/6.
Yeah.
As far as dice goes. It now states that if the unit began to turn engaged with the defender, the attack gains +1 to hit and ignores armor saves. Outside of that, they still gain critical blow at 1 remaining rank. Their armor saves stayed the same. Their morale stayed the same. Their movement stayed the same. I'm sorry, actually no. Their movement went up 1. That is another change, which is huge for them as a whole, actually.
Yeah.
Is that 1 additional extra inch of movement.
Yeah, because they needed that.
They definitely needed that, yes.
No, they didn't. Stark players can go pound sand.
Oh, you love it.
No. Not when they hose my army, no.
I love them.
All right.
So, moving on. The next unit is Stark Outriders. They definitely got some changes, and I think they're good changes. Because you didn't see them at all.
You still won't see them. Well, I guess you might now.
Yeah, you're going to definitely see them, especially once they allow you to finally use your Hand of the King models.
Which will be never.
Yeah. If Simon has their way. They are no longer 4+ to hit. They are now 3+ to hit. Their dice stayed the same. Their movement stayed the same. Armor save morale stayed the same. Their order also stayed the same. They have the standard issue cavalry rules. But they lost the free charge if targeted with, I believe it was horse. Sorry. I have a little sore throat right now. But they gained bushwhack, which is enemies that they successfully charge in the flank or rear become panicked and weakened, which is huge.
Yeah.
Because now you don't want them getting in your flank, otherwise they're just going to start killing you hard.
Enemies, this unit, yeah.
But yeah, so that's definitely a change for them. I am definitely going to probably use my Stark Outriders.
A little bit more.
A little bit more. Because before, they just didn't do much to me.
Yeah.
And my personal favorite unit change for Starks as a whole. The House Tully Sworn Shields. Literally everything stayed the same on them. They just went down to 6 points instead of 7.
Yeah.
Which, considering I love House Tully Sworn Shields, I'm okay with it. Because all of my lists just gained 2 points.
Yeah.
2 to 3 points, actually. So we're going to move on here to the characters. Syrio Forel. You still need Arya to take him. He's still 2 points. His order stayed the same, but he gained an ability. It's called First Blade's Guidance. This unit's melee attacks gain precision, which is hits from rolls of 6 do not allow defensive saves. So you put them in something that has critical blow, and they go off, ignoring 2 saves per 6 rolled, which is amazing.
No, it's horrible.
Nope, yep, it's amazing. You love it.
No.
Yep. So we're going to move on here to Roderick Cassell. Roderick is super good now as a commander. So his order is still the same. Start of a friendly turn, one enemy within line of sight and long range becomes vulnerable. But they took away his second ability and gave him Expose Opening, which states, when targeting vulnerable enemies, this unit may reroll any misses. Which, when you put him in a Stark Bowmen unit, is phenomenal.
Yep.
Because you can shoot them, make them vulnerable, then shoot them.
Yeah.
Then, if they fail a panic check, they also become weakened.
Yeah.
Which is super good.
I guess. Only Stark players would know that.
Oh, yeah. I love him. Moving on, we're going to go to Great John Umbar. So they changed his order. His order is now, when this unit destroys an enemy, instead of maneuvering, this unit may pivot and make a free charge action, which is super good. If you want to go hard aggro with your Starks, and you have 3 points, take Great John Umbar. His onslaught ability stayed the same, so targeting his unit with the swords will allow them to still make a free charge action instead of just an attack action.
Yeah.
Moving on, we're going to move to Brandon Hodor. Also a really good character that I like playing all the time. They just reduced his cost from 3 points to 2 points. I personally think he was good at 3 points, and putting him at 2 points basically makes him an auto-include.
Well, yeah.
Yes, your dogs are worth a victory point now, but I don't think reducing the cost of Brandon Hodor is your answer. Because, especially Summer. Summer is probably, out of all the Stark dogs, the best. That being said, we're going to move on here. Moving on to Rickon Stark. Same thing as before. All of his abilities stayed the same. He was 2 points. He is now 1 point. So there's that's really all they did. You can still take OSHA for free. You can still take all the things you want for free. But that's basically all the changes for the Starks, I believe.
Yeah, that's all the changes for 1 point.
For 1.5 at least for the Starks.
Yeah.
We're gonna move on here to.
That was the end.
That was the end.
That's all the updates.
Oh shit! It is.
Yeah.
All right then.
So, with that, guys, we thank you guys for watching this video. Like, subscribe.
Yep.
Tell us you hate us, you love him, you hate him. That's fine. Everybody else does.
Look at this face.
It's hateable. If you guys didn't know, Mike the Big D Kelly is actually going Amish.
Apparently.
So, with that, we'll say goodnight to you guys and take care.